Hi, I am Andrew Scribner, and I am going to be talking to you tonight about a child sponsorship program in the Philippines called Kairos Children's Fund. So let's just get right started. For $30 a month, basically this is it. You can help send a child to school and with dignity, lunch and snacks and looking good. We have a dream that one day society will be more generous to those who lack certain needs, providing not only free education but free and fair access to it. Children can start and finish with joy, pride, and a clear hope. Families will be able to rise out of poverty because of the opportunity that was provided by the government was a holistic one, both in terms of content, the education itself, and the opportunity to it. So in other words, we dream of a day that these children will be able to go to school, not only getting a free education in itself, but being able to have good access to it. Though education in the Philippines is really tuition free, pursuit of this education is not. There are costs such as lunch, snacks, uniforms, school supplies, and a lot more. There's often shame because of teasing from other children, because of clothes which are tattered and worn, because of a wide array of variables. Some children can't go to school every day. She or he might have to walk 1 or more miles to school and arrive tired and hungry. Children oftentimes don't want to go to school at all because when they do, sometimes they come home with tears in their eyes. School is not a fun experience for some children. I've heard of kids who despise school because of these factors. They just don't go to school, they stay at home. And sometimes the parents don't even really know the reason why. Sometimes parents can't afford all of these things that the children need and seemingly give up on having their child finish high school at all. There are many children who, after elementary or junior high, stay home to help their parents. So that means that these children never go to high school or senior high. Girls oftentimes get pregnant early, become young mothers, and often the burden of another child can make the family sink into poverty even more. Boys develop bad character and sometimes become drug dependent and oftentimes end up working at a young age. Now, just imagine that this child has money for snacks, uniform, transportation. She isn't hungry, isn't teased, and not tired when she gets to school. If a child can graduate from high school and college, that family will have a much greater opportunity to prosper and a smaller risk of being taken advantage of. Add good morals and character and a sense of civic duty to their education, and a child will really go far in the world. In Kairos Children's Fund, we desire not only to help with school needs, but also provide mentoring to the scholar and information to the families. Our published vision says this: children will be able to graduate from college with good education and a willingness to help their families and a world-class character. Families will be able to rise above their current living situation because of the successful academic pursuits of their children. So this is our dream. What we need is compassion. What we need is compassion in troubled times. You know, there's this verse that I really like, and I think it applies to a lot of our young people. It says, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine." And this is what he says. Know that I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, and you are mine. We are a Christian charity. We are a Christ-centered fund, and we do want to help our children know God. So Kairos, what does it mean? Actually, it's pronounced Kairos in the Greek, or that's a closer pronunciation, but we pronounce it Kairos. The perfect, delicate, crucial moment, the fleeting rightness of time and place that creates the opportune atmosphere for action, words, or movement. In other words, it's a perfect time for something. You know, there's two different words in Greek, Kairos and Chronos. In this one, the Kairos is the perfect time for something to happen, the perfect time for education, the perfect time in a child's life to make a difference. So what do scholars receive? You know, a child who is being sponsored, what do they get? They get a weekly allowance, school fees will be paid, follow-up and care by our social worker and our admin department, optional birthday and Christmas gift, optional communication from their sponsor. They also get the joy of knowing that someone cares for him or her. They get dignity and a feeling of self-worth. They get a strong vision for the future, and they get a vibrant self-identity as a child of God. What do sponsors receive? They receive the opportunity to become part of a child's education. They receive the joy of knowing that family's future will become more secure and joyous. They receive also monthly communication from the sponsored child. You will write him, and she is also required monthly to write back to the sponsor. So these are some examples of what they've done. This is an artwork by Helena, and also John Gabriel wrote a letter, and he also illustrated it a little bit. So very nice. This is what they are sending to their sponsors. Helena, I can tell you, before she lost her father at a very young age, almost 2 years it took her to really break out of her shell and even get close to people, especially men, again. So we also have these 10 pasalig, or 10 commitments, and these are not rules or guidelines, but this is basically a covenant. These are commitments that the families and children must agree to follow as a covenant with their cluster. We basically have our sponsors in clusters. So right now we have 3 different clusters. Two are in Dumaguete and one is in San Jose. We also have a scholar by herself in Cebulan. At any time, they're free to remind each other of these 10 commitments. So they can remind each other about these commitments. Not following them will not necessarily mean non-continuation in the program. So if they don't follow them to the T, it won't mean that they're being kicked out of the program. But we would desire to see them follow this. And if they don't, if they show bad behavior, they may be asked to stop. So number 1, we shall follow in advance the 4 principles of the Kairos Children's Fund, which is love God, love others, mutual respect and discipline, and unity and hard work. But most of all, the first one, which is love God and love others. There should not be a comma there. It should be just an and sign, ampersand. Love God and love others. That's the value of putting God and others first. Putting God, of course, first of all. And then we will do our best to share Jesus with others. So that's another value that we have as a Christian organization. We desire to emulate his holiness as much as possible, although no one is perfect. Number 3, we shall strive to work hard to become prosperous for our family and others in our community. Number 4, we will minimize our expenditures and save our sobra, or our extra allowance. So we try to teach them to save and minimize expenses. We shall strive to always learn, even when not in school. Number 6, we shall not be unfair to anyone, bully, or tease. And we shall treat everyone as a brother and sister in this world and always be ready to help one another. Number 8, we do our best to obey our teacher and always respect our fellow students. Number 9, we will do our best to serve in the church and do our assigned task. So they do have church duties in their local church, things that they have to do to help out. And number 10, we will commit to help other children in need through the Kairos Children's Fund once we are finished schooling and working. Although this depends, they could also sponsor a child through any fund or even personally, but we would like it if they would help through Kairos Children's Fund. That would be the ideal. So, how do I start? Visit Kairos Children's Fund and click I want to sponsor a child. That's on the first page. And you'll be asked to fill up a form, and then you'll be contacted by either our admin or our social worker. And we will send you pictures of those children who need to be sponsored. And then, we appreciate also one-time gifts. This could go either for the rice allowance, the emergency fund, or admin and overhead. Now, admin and overhead is very important, of course. We still need this to keep our charity going, to keep our organization going. The rice allowance, though, we give this directly to the families. And the emergency fund is just for emergencies, especially medical emergencies that might arise. But you can also give these one-time gifts for these funds. If you do not say what your gift is for, we will just use it for what we think needs to be filled at that moment. So thank you again for watching this, and thank you again for considering sponsoring a child or giving a one-time gift. If you cannot, we would just appreciate your prayers and pass on this information to someone else. Share this video. God bless and thank you for watching Kairos Children's Fund. Educate a child, help eliminate poverty. Check us out on the web at kairoschildrensfund.com. God bless you.